What up, fam? Hit that like, hit that subscribe. This is HUD Wednesday nights. The Birds are 10-2. We're back, baby. Let's talk about it all. And a little Sixers for you.
I mean, how silly is that, man? We're talking about practice.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin.
Welcome in, everybody. This is HUD Wednesday nights, only on HUD Radio. Every Wednesday, we're brought to you by our doc, Make Them Yours, Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, located in Burlington, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Find them on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. As always, the great Noe Eaton, Mikey Buckets, Luke Brown, Heel Chrome, Greg Milakovic. I'm Tom Arnone, everybody out there. Welcome in. Oh, what do we do with Joel Embiid? We'll talk about it. Sixers Magic, we'll give you our post-game thoughts. Maybe. Eagles Panthers preview, players of the game, all Eagles tonight, baby, because we're the beast. We're the beast. We're the big bad wolf. I'm going to keep yelling and screaming that crap because we're the big bad wolf. But we'll talk about it all. Talk about it all. Poll, let's dive right in. Saquon Barkley will have over 200 all-purpose yards against the Panthers this week. Do you agree? Disagree? Let us know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, that's where we're live. Everywhere you get your podcasts, we're there as well. Hit the like, subscribe, follow. Most importantly, join the goddamn conversation. Let's talk about it. All right? Absolutely. Who's going to come on here trying to be the hero tonight? Like, oh, disagree. You know, come on. Panthers are definitely playing better football. Great job organizationally realizing you got to play, your second-year QB. Okay? So organizationally, they're getting that right. Defensively, they're better, but I mean, he's the best running back in football. He's the best player in football. He's the biggest game changer in football, and that's factual. So there's nothing that for me to say that we don't have 140 on the ground and a little 60 piece in the air, right? It's in some fashion. So nothing for me to say that the guy don't go for 180 at this rate. Like there's nothing stopping him from 180. That's how ridiculous this is. This is what happens when you put a specimen and let them run behind specimens. This is the Dallas Cowboys of the 90s. I just want everybody to know this. This is what this is. And if you remember that team of the 90s, you remember the fourth quarter when they had a lead, just go get the plane started. Somebody start the bus up.
Yep.
Like, let's get it started because now they're gonna lay on you and it's gonna just gash it. And there's nothing you can do about it. This is what we are. And I hate comparing us to that team, right? But if you look at it, a buddy brought this up to me, and the more I dove in, the more I like it. Saquon Emmett, offensive line is extremely similar. If you really look at it, the weight, the size of it, all right? A.J. Brown, hey, Mike, without the snort, right? Hey, Mike, without my crack pipe, right? So you got some things, and Devontae's Alvin Harper, like I don't know, but that doesn't matter. Okay, what matters is you see the similarities and great organizations throughout. I'd say dynasties outside of the Patriots. Take the Patriots, wash it away, because that's the greatest quarterback of all time, right? Everybody else had a threesome. If you really want to look at it. Niners, Ricky Waters, Jerry Rice, Steve Young. Everybody had a little something in terms of that to win throughout the history of, say, like some dynasties, right? Teams are able to win 3 and 5 years. I'm not saying we're going to do it, but I feel like we might. Right? I feel like that's what we're back to. I feel like that's what we should be talking. We should be talking dynasty talk. Get excited. I'm not going to go too long with it. But, like, anybody disagree with anything tonight, get a grip. Get a grip. Because you ain't watching enough. You don't see what we're seeing or what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lead in the fourth quarter and a team that's consistently rushing for over 200 as a group. 180, 200. This is what we talked about. This is exactly what A2D sat here and told you to do. And here we are. So, shit, he might run for 2. We might win freaking 4 Super Bowls in a row. That's where I'm at. Jump on board. What do you guys say?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree as well. I'm with you. I mean, I think the only thing stopping him this week is the scoreboard and how much we're ahead, right? But you look at this type of game, with our previous teams, or especially last year, you look at the two teams and what's different, right? Saquon Barkley, and it's our floor, right? It's how bad can you be potentially on a week where you might not have your ace stuff. Well, you still got 26 in the backfield, right? So you're already going to be a lot better than most teams coming into it. So I absolutely agree. I'm with you. I think he might push 225 to be realistic. He wants that MVP, and he wants the record, and he knows that's the goal. So he's got to at least get 125 on the ground, and then we'll see where he goes from there.
Remember the game against the Giants where he was like, "Let the young guys eat, let Gainwell get his." You think he might look back and regret that?
No,
for this rushing record.
No,
I don't think he's here for that. No, I'll just tell you how it is. I don't think he's here for that. I think he's here for one thing, and that's Broad Street.
Yeah, he wants a ring.
Yeah, I think it's real clear what he's here for, the kind of leadership he brings to the table. That's just an add-on when you talk about Saquon. Go ahead, Cromer.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he himself has said, I would rather not have an MVP and have a title than have an MVP and not win a title. So and he's one of those guys. It's not lip service. Like I believe when he talks and he makes a statement like that, everything that he's done and every action he's taken on and off the field indicates that that's legitimate. So, it's fun for us to think about, like, how many yards could he have put up in that game? I mean, he got pulled fairly early in that game, but listen, I agree to the poll question here. Carolina has played better. They have played better. However, they have not played a team like this. They have not played a defense like this. Kansas City's defense was supposed to be, one of the top defenses. But it's been they've just been a weird team, a very inconsistent team offensively and in that game defensively. But the young cats in the defense here are going to show them a whole different thing. And the thing is, with a team like Carolina, if you can beat them down early and out physical them early, I think it deflates that team. I mean, they really don't have a whole lot to play for. And Saquon's just a special dude. I mean, I watched, I think one of the best game tape guys is Dan Orlovsky. He did something this week that was really interesting. And he went through a bunch of plays throughout the year and really put on display every individual offensive lineman of the Philadelphia Eagles. And he showed a lot of plays about how they are the most in sync offensive line in football. They're massive men. How they come through. They showed one with Lane who sweeps around from the tackle position, goes to the other side, and completely opened up a hole. And it was one of those that Saquon just ripped off for like a 60-yard run, right? It just seems like this offensive line, with the way they're playing and with how special Saquon is and how he has 30 yards, 40 yards in the first half. But you don't get discouraged because he's a pound them and beat them down until they're on their heels, and then he breaks off really big in the second half. I think this could be he had 255. I think he could have over that 255 on the ground, not including in the passing. I think he's gonna have a monster week this week, and like you guys said, he's gonna solidify. And keep this in mind, guys. 4 of their last 5 games are run defenses that rank, I think, like 26 or 24th and below in the NFL right now. He could put up multiple 200-yard rushing games at the end of the season here. And they talked about, is there an asterisk if he does it because it's one more game? And everybody said absolutely not. Different game than when Dickerson played. I mean, they were much more physical and they allowed it. But when you look at the athleticism of the players that he's going against, the defenders that he's outrunning and juking, it's a special season. I think that he puts on a show this week.
Yeah, I think he's hunting for that for sure. He's hunting for that title, as he should. I don't change like one's better than the other, right? I think they're both great. So I just look at it like that. I know people try to do that, Chrome, right? They're always like, is it or not? What I mean? It doesn't always have to be an asterisk. It doesn't always have to be like who's better. Like, how about both are great? Both did at different times. Well,
I appreciate that a lot of almost everybody said absolutely no. There's no asterisk. It's a different game now. They actually make it harder to run now in the NFL. And that's why it's such a passing league. So what he's doing is almost that much more impressive because he has more yards in the second half than the fourth. Like, if you were to rank rushers, he's
a fourth leading rusher just in his second half.
He's the fourth leading rusher in the second half. It's insane. It's wild.
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's out of control. It's out of control.
Luke, what do you say?
Absolutely agree. And what's sad, honestly, which no one really brings this up, and this is really just a slight in the Giants, he should have been doing this and could have been doing this his entire career. I mean, I've been watching him play even at Penn State. He was meant to do this. And I get it, our offensive line is best of league, but you could only imagine his career numbers, even if the Giants attempted to do it the right way. His career numbers would be insane. Not to this level, but still insane. Absolutely agree. And Tom, you brought up earlier a point about how that, you get a lead in the fourth quarter, it's gone. I think a lot of people are talking offensively because that's what really stands out with the explosive touchdowns with Saquon. A lot of attention needs to be put on the defense and how if you make yourself predictable against our defense and you let those 4 guys pass rush every down or make it at least a little bit obvious that you're going to be trying to come back and throw the ball, we are insanely dominant. I did my own little research before we hopped on.
Uh-oh.
During this 8-game win streak, they've only allowed slightly over 8 points per game in the second half. Yeah. And that, it's a best start at the beginning of games and at the end of games. If you become predictable, this defense will swallow you up. You.
Yo, I'll be one to say, this is 85 Bears type shit. This is what we watch with the Ravens type shit. That's how good it is. That's how good it is. 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you're like, I don't know, right? You're like, maybe they are, right? But when you do it for the amount of time they've done it for, and you shut down explosive offenses in this league, explosive. That offense that nobody else is shutting down but you. And I'll keep saying it, and I know it gets annoying. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Look at 4 guys in the front 7, where they're from. That's all. 4 guys in the front 7. They're Georgia guys. They did the same shit in college. Doesn't always work like that, but that's what they're doing. That's what the Georgia guys have done to this defense. And then you draft great. You draft Guantanamo Bay, and then the Great White Hype. You draft those 2 guys, and now it's over. It's over. You know what I mean? And then you bring CJ back. Oh my God! And then your linebackers are allowed to just go run around. Go, guys, Zach won't go run around because Jordan Davis will eat guys up. Milton Williams has been great. Jalen Carter gets absolutely mugged. Guys should go to prison for what they do to him on the football field and get away with. All that being said, it all starts with those Georgia guys that did the same shit in college, same stuff. They were dominant, and it started with Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. And this is where they were the keys to it.
And this is where you tip the cap to Howie, by the way, because he has nailed the defense, particularly on the defensive. He has nailed the defensive end of everything. You talk the secondary. We're talking about acquisitions at linebacker. Like we talked about Nakobe, right? It took us a while to get there. But really, Nakobe's having an unbelievable year. Quinyon is having a historically great start to his season. Historically great start for a defensive back. It's unbelievable the way this defense is playing right now. And a lot of credit to Vic Fangio, by the way. A lot of credit.
He gets all the credit. Zach Bowen's his guy. When you look around.
Oh, my God. He
nailed credit to 2 guys. This is credit to Howie Roseman, who's got to construct it. He's got to draft well. He's got to put the pieces in place, right? And then credit to the guy who's, getting guys ready to play. And he said it. Got a lot of young guys that are sponges. When you get a lot of cats that are sponges and you're a great coach, time's yours. And this is what we're watching.
You talking about the Great White Hope. I have never seen in his entire career somebody straight up in an open field put Derrick Henry down like that. Ever.
Yeah, that was an awesome open field tackle. And to your point, Crum, look, one-on-one, our defense is so much better this year in open field tackling. And, that's the primary reason why, in addition to everything that you guys and Tommy mentioned, that, you look at Jalen Carter. He's unbelievable. He's held on every play, and it doesn't matter. He seems to disrupt the offensive backfield every play. All right. This is a lockdown, shutdown defense. This is, it's 2000 Ravens-esque, no doubt. And considering how the rules these days, you go 24, almost 25 years later, how the rules in the NFL these days cater so much to the offensive side of the ball. I mean, the way defensively we've been able to ball out every week and pretty much shut teams down. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it is. Real quick, before Mike goes and then you two answer the poll. I can't with this guy. Spells, I love you to death. You're a moron. I mean, an absolute flat out moron.
I love him to death. Look at his picture, by the way.
The profile picture, I'm out on you.
What are we doing? What are we
guys
doing?
Are changing jerseys, staying in the city. You're an idiot. And then I know what you're saying. I know. I read your Facebook post. Oh, it's just a bridge for Cam Ward. You're the worst. You're the worst. It's a bridge. I'm coming for a bridge guy. Come on. You know his ego. He ain't bridging no number one pick.
Yeah, no.
Knock it off. No better. You're smarter than that. Two. Oh, yeah. I agree that he'll hide some things with Jalen. Ain't no going to question that. He didn't sure as hell didn't hide anything with Daniel, did he? Make sense? You get where I'm going with that, Sean? So don't start coming in here wanting to talk about the quarterback. Because the one thing I can tell you, your quarterback, who was supposed to be a guy, was never a guy. You dime me all day. Dime. Okay? The second part, all my guy does is win. That's all he does. So I'm not telling you he's Justin Herbert arm strength. I'm not telling you that when you watch it, it's like, ooh, right? The dude freaking wins. Of course Saquon helps. Buy a clue, moron, if you didn't think he did it. I mean, he helps any quarterback. Think Henry don't help Lamar? You think Jacobs ain't helping? Yeah, Jordan Love? Come on. Great backs help. Good quarterbacks. They don't help bad ones, because bad ones are bad ones, Sean. You know better. Get a freaking feel tonight. Have a feel. All right, back to the poll. Sorry, guys.
Such a joke.
So I'm going to agree to the poll. I think the biggest thing about Saquon Barkley and this offensive line also is just time of possession. I mean, it's simple, but you're keeping the football out of the opposing quarterback's hands. And against Bryce Young, I don't think that's going to be a problem. But Lamar Jackson, I mean, that's huge. I mean, Saquon takes over. You go down 9-0 early. Justin Tucker, side note, it's been terrible. But you're down 9-0.
The GOAT.
It's actually hard. It's hard to watch, honestly.
It is hard to watch.
Like, he's one of those guys you just respected for years, and we benefited from it, but it's hard to watch.
He was automatic, Chrome, right? I mean, he didn't miss.
He's the most automatic kicker in NFL history until this year.
Man, when you miss a couple and it gets in your head, I don't care how good you are.
They talk about with a kicker too. Like, when it goes, it goes. It goes fast.
Yeah.
I think he rebounds. Maybe not this year, but he'll rebound. He's been too
I hope. I mean, he's a GOAT. I hope.
It's not like he's missing short. It's not
he's
like
missing the exact same way every time.
Yeah, but even Jake had a little bit of a slump. No one's even talking about that anymore. But this is going on all year. He's missed 9 I saw?
Yeah.
9 field goals.
I think it's 10.
10?
Oh, wow.
Dude.
Have a year. He's got a big ego too for a kicker. You know what I mean? Might want to start making a couple, babe, because you always have stuff to say. You know what I mean? You better calm down, kicker life.
Like in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, we had Kenneth Gainwell, Miles Sanders, Boston Scott. You don't really have a guy that could keep the ball out of Mahomes' hand. And that's what excites me. When you get to the playoffs, you're going to have time of possession. You're going to control it. I mean, Saquon's getting 4 or 5 yards of carry. Just keep feeding the guy. You're going to control time of possession, and that's what's huge. You could play a team like Detroit, let's say, who's been on fire, lighting it up, but they're not going to get the ball. They can't score. They can't win. And I think that's the biggest thing that no one talks about is just time of possession. You control it with this guy in your backfield.
Mm-hmm. It's spot on. It really is. I mean, it's simple formula, right? In the beginning of the year, they weren't doing that, right? You know, the first 4 games, it really wasn't that. They wanted to throw the football. And we sat here and we said, hey, Howie, Jeffrey, really? Hey, Jeff. Tom Arnone, HCD Radio, just checking in. I got an idea. You know what can be fun and explosive too and sell a lot of tickets? 80-yarders to the house.
Well,
right? Go ahead.
Speaking of that, I agree to the poll. Not only that, he's going to have 200 all-purpose by halftime, and by the middle, by early in the fourth quarter, his ass will be on the bench, resting, getting ready for next week.
He breaks the record at halftime. That's what he's talking about. Hey, 2100 by halftime.
All right.
My last poll, I want to speak in on this.
25 by halftime.
But there was people before when we signed Barkley, like even Eagles fans, that were going a little crazy about it. Like, oh, you paid all this money. Like, this guy isn't worth it, this and that. No one expected this defense either to be this good. Like everyone said, there's more areas of focus that we need to hone in on. But Barkley, he's been as good as we know he can be. But our defense has just been so good that it just didn't even matter. You could have paid this guy $100 million.
Careful buckets, right? This ain't nobody. There's some homers around.
No.
There were some homers around preseason.
No.
I'm just saying, Luke. It's a lot of homer out of me.
You were talking about a guy who got cut in like the second week of the season. I was trying to inform you about that.
That's fine. I can be wrong about that, but I'm not wrong about, like, it's not like I like Devin White over Nakobe Dean. I had injury concerns with Nakobe Dean. We didn't see Nakobe.
Yeah, but there was too much Devin White. Too much Devin White for me.
You got a lot of Devin White, but there was a lot of others. There was a lot of other talks.
There was a lot of Devin White. There was a lot.
One of the best secondary in football conversation.
Well, true, but
because you were all Devin, because I was all Devin Whited up.
Hey,
yeah, I couldn't let it go.
No, don't, please. But let's not make it sound like I wanted a guy over another guy. I was in the Kobe. I'm a big Nakobe fan. I'm just
fucking around. But
I mean, I'm giving Kirby Smart hand jobs. You understand? That's what I'm doing. So I'm Team Nakobe. Anybody on draft night remembers that. I'm Team Dean. Team Dean.
I'm just trying to remind you in December what happened. That's all.
I mean,
that's really all I'm trying to do.
Yeah, but there's also a couple of us who may have whiffed on Devin White, but that said Zach Bone. I mean, I don't think anybody thought it would be this good. There's a couple of us that said that the Zach Bone signing might be a very underrated signing.
Yeah, we're not here to like.
No one saw Defender of the Year.
No, but I know myself. It might have been Tom. Somebody else on here said they agreed with it. He might be, a lot better than what his contract looked like. And here he's been unbelievable.
Hey, I'll be the first to admit I threw out the worst take probably of A2D of the entire summer. I said if they brought back Nick and they have Howie and Jalen, they couldn't win a Super Bowl. And here I am. I'm back. Let's go. That was the worst take out of everybody.
Well, we all have.
I'm just
right. Like Devin White wasn't a
totally.
Great one. Devin, keep getting on me about it. It's fine, right? But one guy out of 11, right?
I'm just playing.
This isn't like a Tom Puff, right? This isn't like Tom Puff, the Magic Tommy, right? It's for all of us. Like I think we talked about the secondary, how deep they were, right? I think we talked about up front that we didn't know how deep we were going to be. But we knew the guys that were starting that were going to be dominant, right? But we had some concerns, obviously, with certain things. But I think overall, we had question marks. We weren't sure totally about the linebacker position until we saw it play out. But we knew the pieces around it were really good. So nobody had it this good, though. Nobody's walking around 8 points a game. You know what I mean? Like, hey, the whole team's under double digit. Nobody was saying that. But we did think we could be top 5, 10 conversation, but this is fun.
And you could really go back and look
at a lot of fun.
You could go back and look at the Baltimore game too. Like what was like a 30 or 40-yard run that Lamar had at the end of the game. Like they gave up some garbage stuff too. That they just
and the points
were just I mean that last touchdown didn't mean anything. They kind of were just at that point. I don't want to say playing prevent, but they were just kind of keep everything in front of you, whatever. They let them get the yardage.
Yeah. I mean, if they didn't get that garbage time touchdown, there was a stat they were like kind of promoting during the game. They haven't gotten shut out in the second half in like a lifetime ago, and they were shut out the entire second half without that garbage time tutty.
I gotta throw this
I looked it up again. They've given up 8.3 points per game in the second half during this winning streak, which is absurd. You got to think about that touchdown they gave up, the touchdown against Washington. Like those kinds of points, you can subtract those. I mean, they have been absurdly dominant in the second half.
Lamar Jackson has lost 2 games against the NFC. Both games, Saquon Barkley ran for 100 yards and a touchdown. So Saquon, it's the Giants and the Eagles. Saquon Barkley is the Lamar Jackson stopper.
Makes sense. Ties into it.
Matthew,
I could have used the late Lamar touchdown. I mean, if we were going to score, we might as well put it to Lamar. I mean, lost the parlay on Lamar.
I don't give
Thank
a
you.
shit about you losing your parlays right now.
Yeah, I mean, he ran out to 5. No wonder his mom got on his ass for not running more. Just get in the end zone, cash a parlay, and still lose.
It is great that she said that. Matthew, sorry to hear about your grandfather, brother.
Oh, sorry, brother.
Condolences or prayers to you and your family. I'm glad it helps you. Talking Eagles helps when they're good, for sure.
Chrome, you're muted.
Sorry. Matt's a nice guy too. I actually met him at the 2300 Arena one night. He was at a wrestling show. So, and he said he came up to me and said hi. So sorry to hear about your grandfather, brother. Prayers to you, bro.
That's awesome that you met him.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Oh, did he, Josh? I didn't hear that. Did he say that? Wow.
Well, you know, Tucker's career went downhill ever since he got in that spat with Kelsey and Mahomes, right? So you go against Taylor, your career goes downhill.
All right. Should put the kibosh.
I mean, I don't know if we need to send Tucker a Christmas card for the win, but he sure did help by he took 7 points off the Ravens scoreboard there. What was that? Two missed field goals and a missed extra point. I mean, that did help us a bit, but to be honest, I think we would have found a way to win the game anyway. I really liked the way we dominated the line of scrimmage, especially in the second half. I mean, our offensive line just fucking shoved the Ravens front seven off the ball and allowed Saquon to do his thing. And I was really impressed. And then, of course, defensively, our pass rush. I mean, we were after Lamar Jackson all day. And like I said about Jalen Carter, he lived in the Ravens' backfield.
He's really proven. Jalen Carter's really proven what everybody said that year. That consets. He was the best player in that draft.
Oh, no question, hands down.
I mean, he has really stepped it up this season. And these guys aren't even scratching the surface.
He needs to get some more flags. He gets held every play.
He does.
Totally.
And him chasing down Lamar is just so impressive. Like a dude that size just running with Lamar Jackson is like, it should be illegal.
Hey, Mike, there's a lot of officials that don't like us, and we don't care.
No, we might.
Oh.
We're going to find a way to get it done anyway.
That's probably the biggest.
We don't care until it's Bradbury on Juju Smith-Schuster.
So just a quick update too. Obviously, Devontae full participant. I'm looking at it now.
Sick.
I'm glad you brought that up.
No Reed, no Sydney, no Covey, no Goddard.
Becton and Slay were both limited participants in practice. Yeah, Reed, Brown, Covey, and Goddard all look like they are. Are you looking at the same thing I am, Tom?
Yeah, it's on.
Yeah.
I don't even need Devontae to play. Take another week.
Yeah,
right? That's what winning that game last week does for you.
Well, this is the week. This is the type of week where you don't need him out there right now.
Yeah, sit there and rest that for another week, bro.
Well, especially
I do think with a hammy sometimes though, it's good to ramp up. I do think with the hammy, it's good to ramp up a little bit. Yeah, especially in a game where you might expect a big lead, he wouldn't have to play, like the same amount of snaps he would normally.
Yeah,
so maybe we're thinking about it that way. Plus, he did almost play last week, so
he did. Luke's gonna be working for the doc soon. Dr. Paul Manel. That's my physical therapy. I love the ramp up. I love it.
It's the Sixers' turn, the ramp up.
There's a lot of ramp up talk in this city.
Yeah.
Ramp up for 20 games.
Yeah.
Oh man.
How can you ramp up?
That's I think the only weakness of this team is just like the third, fourth, fifth options on offense. When they get Goddard involved and use your third option, I love it. Like they did that last week because Smith was out. So I guess he was in the passing game. But besides that, offensive line, great. Defense, outstanding. Barkley, great. Hurts just wins. Say what you want about him, he wins. It's just the third, fourth, fifth receivers. Dotson doesn't really get involved. They try to do Covey. The Smith guy. Who was Smith? I never even heard of him. He was in there.
Anaya Smith. Yeah, rookie.
He was a rookie drafted.
Johnny Wilson plays 1 week. He doesn't play the next week. It's just
he's hurt.
Yeah. Well, I think part of that, though, too, is the flippant philosophy on offense, right? When you're only throwing the ball 20 times, there's only so many options to get these guys involved. It's not like it's not like we have Jalen dropping back like Burrow, throwing the ball 75 times a game, and you can work in the third tight end, right? We can get the third tight end in the end zone, right? No, it's either going to be Goddard or it's going to be Saquon or Jalen. That's what it's going to be, right? Or AJ on 1 week. You know what I mean? So I think part of that is due to just we don't throw the ball a lot right now. And there's going to be opportunities, and I think there's going to be a chance. I absolutely understand what you're saying. I think a lot of the league, though, once you get down to 3 and 4, really struggled to put something out there that's NFL quality.
Yeah, and Howie's really good at his job. Like if we're sitting here talking about the 3rd, 4th receivers, that's a good problem to have.
Yes,
the rest of the team is
100%.
fantastic. Like I'm just saying, I think that's the only weakness I see is your 3rd receiver.
And that's where he's going that's where he's going this offseason too. I think the Goddard timeline of things, not to say Goddard's bad. He's been great when he's been on the field. He's just not trustworthy. And it's kind of one of those when we drafted Goddard with Ertz situations, when we drafted Ertz with Selleck situations. Like this is a great tight end class, and if a guy like Warren is there, do they take a swing? Do they take a swing on a guy in the first? I'm just saying, like,
because he's going to be there at the time where we're drafting. He's going to be.
I was going to say, I've been saying it all year though. He's such an Andy Reid chief guy that they put, and he's throwing for touchdowns and doing all this great like that.
And they probably had that same mentality with Kelsey, right? Kelsey might be down after this year.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
All right, let them win the Super Bowl then. You know what I mean? Does it mean that much? Let them win, and we'll be runners up again. We can trade them.
Yeah, I'm down.
No, you're right though. We will be. I actually thought we would do it this year.
Yeah,
me too.
Because of his track record, and I understand not doing it. If there's a guy not there you don't believe in, you don't just go do it to do it. That's what bad organizations do.
Yeah.
We're looking for a guy that wears cleats, right? That's not what we're trying to do here. We're looking for game changers. So. Yeah. I agree. Next year's the time to do it because you got a lot of good pieces in place that you can afford to go outside the box. You can afford, and that's outside the box. I mean, tight ends are extremely important. So, teams that have damn good ones are teams that are usually pretty good.
And he's a specimen too.
Yeah. And not to mention though, even especially with our salary cap, right? You always have to sit there and recycle some of these guys, right? You can't pay everybody. So Dallas, I know you're coming up on an extension. Sorry, we like you, but see ya.
Yeah.
Is he the one that Franklin was talking about?
Yeah.
Probably.
He's
the whole team.
Put his parents in the Poconos, trying to get another one.
Yeah, he's like, I'm sending his parents on a romantic trip to the Poconos, so maybe they can have another one.
That was actually
you would think.
I couldn't believe he kept a straight face because that was actually a really funny line.
No, it is. I make you want to trade up for him. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about the sperm's that good that you think they need to have another one, James. I'm all in. And from what I hear,
I hope he's not here for that long.
Great culture guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't worry. He won't
be. Kid. No ego. Right. I hear a lot of great things about him the more I do a little homework on him.
Yeah, but it's 1st and goal at the 3-yard line against Ohio State. You got 4 attempts at it. Why would he even consider throwing him the ball? Like, why? It's way too easy. Why would they ever? Yeah, like, why would they try to get him the ball?
I see what you two did. What you two are doing now. Here we go. You got to get you in the playoffs, and you're still hammering them. Still hammering on them. I love
Absolutely.
I like James Franklin. I don't got a problem with him. But I'm also not like a we are. I don't have a college football team. Now, if I went to Penn State like Luke did,
I'll take you. I'll let you hop on the wagon.
I would love to be there with you guys. I feel like I'm there, but like I'm never there, But
the problem is I can't even entice you with a game at Happy Valley because you hate people too much. And you hate crowds too much. So 110,000 people would drive you wild.
Oh yeah.
I will say there is nothing better than a September game in Happy Valley.
Nothing.
See, Tommy would go out on the turnpike, and as soon as he got on to Route 322, he'd say, fuck this, and turn around and go home.
Honestly, I think it's just in general.
My truth.
I think it's just in general. I'm a Husker fan, and going to Lincoln in September or October, it's like nothing I've experienced. So, I mean, you would I feel like if Greg could get you to go, you should do the experience, brother. I'm telling you.
Oh yeah, you guys don't gotta pull my arm. Like if Greg, Luke, and Noah, say if the 6 of us all went up to a little beaver, a little Happy Val, right? Get a little beef, right? Like I'm in. I'm not in for the beef. Like let's calm down there. I'm just joking.
I mean, if you,
I'm in for.
If you want to spend like $6,000, you can come up for a playoff game. That's how much they're charging people for these games. If you're not a student here, it's
is that what it is?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just to get like a good seat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Greg,
Well, it's-
Greg's sweating now. He's
I
sweating.
No, I was almost in Indy this week, and I was almost joining
I'll
Luke in
sit
Indy
on
this
the
weekend.
lights for
Yeah.
300.
I was texting Luke on Sunday or Saturday night. Yo, you got any tickets? Got any tickets?
Gotta be a student. Greg's trying to enroll. Greg might enroll. Franklin's got it back. Greg's going back to school.
Saturday night, there was a $150 round trip ticket to Indy. I was almost in.
Greg would be
Yeah.
rolling
Yeah.
up like
I just
Rodney
had to stay till
Dangerfield.
Tuesday.
Greg would be Greg would be rolling up like Rodney Dangerfield in Back to School.
Oh, what a great movie. What a great reference.
150 round
Oh,
trip.
phenomenal.
Did they fill it up, or you got is that flight like a quarter tank? How's that?
It was on a questionable airline too.
What was it? What was it?
I forget. Was it? Was it Allegiant? It might have been
What?
Allegiant. Yeah.
That's
Oh,
an
it
airline?
don't matter. What was it? Delta had the stowaway lady.
1,500 for a ticket. What
Yeah.
are you talking about? It's cheapest. That's bleeds. Like, come on. I feel
That's cheap. You're
I
not
feel like
finding
you get
that
better
up here.
experience at home. Like if you're Luke or Mike's age, right? You're a younger cat. You're a Thundercat still. Like,
Well, I'm also spending $50 because I'm a
That's what I'm
student. A little
saying.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
if
yeah,
I'm Luke,
yeah.
I don't miss a game. You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm at everything. Now, away games, do you still get the student discount?
No.
No.
They don't give you anything for that. No.
Yes, you would have, but that's all that matters. The home game's all that matters.
Yeah.
Now, you get the
It's
same
200 for the whole season. But since
Even
they got the
playoff?
playoff game, it's playoff is 50 separate.
plan. Okay. Wow. Take my money, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Please. So Greg was trying to sneak in there. I see what Greg was doing.
I was
Greg
also hitting up my friends that got season tickets too, seeing
Yeah, Greg was
what we had. I was hitting out everything.
Greg was like, I'll pay 100 for the 50. You know what I mean? Like Greg give you 200 for the 50. What do you say? Deal or no deal? I love it. I'll go up next year. Deal? You guys want to do it? We'll do it.
Let's
You
do
guys
it.
want to do it?
We'll do it.
Noah's in. I know you got to ask Noah twice. He's in.
Oh, man. Let's go.
We'll drive.
We'll rent your dad's trailer or motorhome.
You don't have that anymore.
You still have it?
Uh-uh.
Oh, he sold it. Man, we
We
could
don't
have
have
parked
that.
we could have parked in the motorhome parking, had our own tailgating lot. Oh, it
As soon
would
as
have
that
been
dude took that cross country, and saw the miles on it, right? That dude been sweating since. Yeah, he had to sell. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh, it's like, hold up, stop. You know what I mean? He got get for 2 years. He was out on it. Oh man, but yeah, back to the. We're gonna all go to Happy Valley, confirmed. We didn't like. We talked a little bit about it. Everybody's like mentioned it, but that's it. Such a great win last week. Like, there's not much to preview for this week, but we will.
Yeah.
That's such a great win. It just solidifies you, right? It just like we knew we were good, but you need that type of win on the road. Like Rams win on the road, great win, right? They're a good football team.
They never win in Baltimore ever.
Never.
Yeah.
Or Cincy.
Or Cincy.
Yep.
We've locked
Now,
up.
Cincy, you
We
should
knocked
win.
a lot of
You should.
Yeah.
numbers off the list.
Yeah.
But the way they won in Cincy's different, right? You guys like that was first drive touchdown. Oh, here we go.
Same old Eagles, right?
Yeah,
Same last year Eagles.
Somebody called Mark Zoom off and he was like, lock all the windows and doors. We're back. All right. What do you guys want to do? You guys want to do some predictions here? I mean, Noah's probably going to say, 78-3. I don't even want to start it. Like, I have no feel for this game because this to me is the layup line. This should be layup line.
All right. Good. I'll go 45-10 Birds. Wrap it up. The Philadelphia Eagles are going to remind the Carolina Panthers that their offseason starts in 5 weeks.
You might think their offseason has already started, but I mean, you're acting like they're in the mix. They're in the dance. Like they're on the bubble. They're in the bubble. Like they're a bubble team. Like they're not getting it. They've been talking about the draft for 5 years now.
I'll go. I'll go.
SJM,
40.
I love it, brother. I love it because you're absolutely right. You get there in September, it is wild.
That's old school Will Ferrell. Oh, that's what I don't want. You understand, guys? Yeah, that was a long time ago.
No, there's a lot of locals up here. Ton.
You get a little vodka crayon in the kid. You know what I mean? I'll be
All
running around
right.
like I'm 24 up there. Like, you don't have a torn meniscus. Look at him do that. Look at him do the hell. Do the hell.
That'll be a content piece, an A2D tailgate up there with this crew.
Good times.
Joseph Horakovsky, check it in. He's glad to see I'm awake. That after work, taking that late afternoon nap really helps.
Guy's a winner, Joseph. He's a winner.
Thank you for checking in.
I'm going to go 42-16 here for the Birds.
Jeez. Woo. Love it.
That's right.
With a Kenny Pickett appearance in this game, because I think they're going to lock this up pretty early.
I'll go 33-16. Cover.
I'm going to go 33-21. I think they scored garbage time touchdowns. And someone said it in the chat. They haven't backed down. They played the Chiefs decently, and they played the Buccaneers pretty well. I just think it'll be garbage time. I don't think it'll actually matter. I also think the Eagles try some trickery this week. Like, they're just going to try new plays. This is the layup line. This is where you try stuff you haven't done yet. See if it works. Whether that's different personnel, different play calls, trick plays, whatever. I just think they mess around more. They're going to take it serious. I don't think they'll take it light in the first half, but in the second half, I think you'll see the foot off the gas a little bit. Like Luke said earlier, Devontae's probably going to play. He's not going to have to play the whole game.
Yeah, I'm hoping we can get Saquon some rest in the fourth quarter too. So get him off his feet a little bit. That definitely can't hurt, especially as we head down the stretch here. And I see some in the chat saying, Carolina hasn't. I mean, yes, they've played some opponents tough. Most of that was at home. They're heading on the road. On the road, they're 1-4 this season, and they'll be 1-5 real quick. They're
28-10. Dominant fashion. Never in doubt. 7-0 Carolina. First drive. And then it's shutdown city. You know how it goes around here. Now,
32-17.
Ooh, a little weirdo number.
Yeah, just throwing a weirdo number out there. I feel like we're going to go for 2, right? We haven't gone for 2 in a while.
Oh, we're back.
Yeah, we're due
like
for
we're
us.
going there, right? Nick's smelling his own roses right now, and rightfully so. Deserves every roses right now, but he's smelling himself right now.
Honestly, I feel like the days of the weird numbers are like in the past anyway, because so many people go for 2-point conversions and this and that like I feel like you always get these odd numbers now.
Yeah,
everybody misses a kick. Yeah, I mean, you can write it down somewhere. Somebody's missing an extra point.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So that messes the number up too. You're right, Crum. You get a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean, Elliott hasn't missed one in a couple weeks. He's due.
I just think this defense is so good. I think they're going to give, they'll give Bryce Young some trouble, and they'll give that offense a lot of trouble. So, I mean, but they've been competitive. They've been fighting. Credit to Carolina. They do fight.
Yeah.
We're just too good, in my opinion, and we played too good all year for this to be something close, right? It's just, I don't got to score in 40. That doesn't mean we don't, right? We're obviously capable of it. When we talk foot off the gas a little bit, Bucket's talking about a little e-break, throughout the game. So, you think about that. If Kennedy's playing, you're up 28-10 in the fourth quarter. Those guys are probably in.
This might be one of those games.
Maybe not.
Like if you're going to take a shot.
3-score game, right? 3-score game, 28-10. Yeah, 3-score game. Those guys are in.
I feel like if you're going to take a shot on an anytime touchdown score, this might be like a Will Shipley kind of week.
What up, horse comp? Checking in. Glad you report for duty, man.
What the fuck?
Back to the Eagles. Just win, baby. That's all. That's what Pete Evans says. How about those Eagles? That's what we're going. That's what we're talking about. We're talking 90s Cowboys. That's where I'm going here. This is 90s Cowboys waiting to happen. You got your center and your guard, right, are babies. They're puppies, right? And they're essentially like all Pro Bowl type cats. Your left tackle's been great, right? I think Jordan's been great. I mean, Lane at some point's going to hang it up. You know that. But you got the pieces here for a while.
Yeah.
You have the pieces here to do it. You have young guys. This isn't an aging group in any stretch. Offensively, defensively, you got a lot of puppies. Right?
No, you do.
I mean, this is what's fun about it.
And they're in key positions too, right, Tommy? As you just mentioned, right? We got really good players at really key positions. So that way and usually high-paying positions, too. When you're going out and signing a cornerback in free agency, that's pretty big money, right? Now we got these guys locked up, right? Offensive linemen are super expensive in free agency. We got those guys locked up now. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. We got the guys. We got good guys, and they're in key positions to allow this to extend over a couple years.
You're right. It's like if we're like older right now, and like our key players are like, in their 30s, you're like, okay, this is fun, right? But it's not gonna last for a while. Yep. When you really look at this roster, you're like, holy shit. I mean, this can be one of the best teams of football for the next 5 years, right? So when you talk about, and I try to talk these things into existence a little bit, right? You know me by now. I want to believe. You got to believe. Starts with a little belief. So I want to believe that they can be in a little mini dynasty the way they're built because how young they are. It doesn't mean it turns into that, right? Who the hell knows? Go win one to start, and then we can have a deeper convo about it. But they're definitely built for a while, and I think they're an organization that, listen, they've always locked up the right guys. They've always made those right decisions. So I don't expect that to change. It's a culture organization. Last year, it got away from us, right, in a weird way. And maybe that's a Super Bowl hangover, right? But the chemistry that should have been there just wasn't. A lot of finger pointing. I think I signed Reddick's a loser. So there was a lot of finger pointing. There's a reason he's not back, by the way. There's a reason he wasn't back, okay? Because Howie has a great track record of getting rid of the crumbs, all right? And we can love and hide. Oh, okay, go Garnets. Go Garnets. Nobody gives a shit, okay? I care about the character, all right? Because last year he was a milk carton cat. So, I'm not saying he's definitely a crumb, but it smells like he was. There was some finger point last year, and Howie's like, yeah. No, if he's that good,
he's not playing for he held out for the Jets. So, how much of a good teammate are you?
And if he's that good, Howie will sign him.
I think it's a rule. He's not even allowed anyway. Just because
I think Tom was talking about an extension.
No, look, if he was that good here, if he's that good
right.
He doesn't get out the door. He don't leave the NovaCare.
Yeah.
It's like Jalen Carter will never get out of the NovaCare.
Yeah.
There's certain guys that will never leave here because he won't allow it. Now, we can talk. Listen, contracts will come up at a different point, but I mean, I just can't say enough great things. I'm sorry to be repetitive on it, but it's important. It's important what this organization continuously does. How they're able to flip the switch. No organization in football has flipped the switch over the last 2 decades like the Philadelphia fucking Eagles. Nobody has.
Yeah.
Tell me who has. Tell me who go through stretches of 7 and 9 and bounce back in 2 years and go to Super Bowls. Who's done it? Or, okay, you go to one, you fire your coach, you draft another quarterback, and you start it over, and you're right back to where you were, if not better? Come on, man. Nobody does that. That's hard to do. That's harder than just being good for a minute. That's harder than what Andy did. That's harder than what Andy did. Andy had the core, and he ran with it, right? And they were great. But the resets they've had have been fantastic.
Yeah, but I think it goes back to, I mean, Howie's been really great with it. Obviously, taking a Super Bowl team and completely revamping it, getting back in 2022, haven't fallen on their face again in 2023, and then revamping this year to possibly make a run. But really, it does come down to Jeffrey Lurie. Because if you go back to Andy's era, you had the McNabb early era. You had that turnover. Mike Vick came in. They succeeded then. Then they had to do another turnover. But, they never have multiple – really since Jeffrey Lurie has taken over, you look at 99, they never string together multiple bad years, right? Like they put together like 3 or 4 really strong years, and then they have a year where there's an occasional 5, 6, 7 win season in there, and you think, okay, are we on the downside? And then somehow, particularly since Howie has come in and taken over, they have found a way to. They've never had to rebuild. It's a retool. And they've seemed to retool the right way. And it may not be necessarily right away for that season. It might take them 2 years to get back to like Super Bowl contention. But that next year, they make that jump back up and they have another winning season. Then they're back over 10, 11, 12 wins. Like they never have a long-term fall down. Like last year, for all intents and purposes, was their stumbling year. It felt like a 6-11 type of year, but it wasn't. They still went. I think when he finished, 11-6.
Yep.
You're muted, Tom.
My fucking dog. They were 10-2. I mean, I'm happy he's still here, but like they're 10-2. That's crazy. I mean, I put the dog down twice. He's still rocking and rolling. What an amazing story.
They're resilient, brother. I'm telling you.
Talk about it another day, but I don't know it doesn't matter. I don't even know what I was saying. But he's.
Well, we're talking about like last year. It was like that felt like a 6-11 year, and it wasn't.
But they bounced back. Like
they bounced right back.
It's amazing. Like you lose 2 leaders of this football team, right? And you're able to bounce back.
You lose Kelsey. You lose Cox. You lose your best pass rusher. I mean, they lost a number of pieces. You had a really bad year from one of your top free agents from the year before in James Bradbury. I mean, there was a lot to overcome. You lost your running back 2 years ago. That was your Super Bowl running back. You had a good year from Swift last year, but he got signed to a contract. You go out and you get Saquon. I mean, it's just
about this,
move
too?
after move.
How about this too, Crum? Like going in directions you never went before organizationally too. Right, like
paying a running back,
and
drafting 2 defensive backs.
Yup,
right.
And
that's key. That's key. Because most general managers in that spot in the second round would say, "Okay, we already drafted a corner. We're not going to draft another one. Where else do we go? We already addressed that need." He said, "No, this guy is a first round talent. I need to go up and get him." And he did. That changed the direction of the entire defense. Like, I know we talk about both of them, but it is so key that without one of them, that means Maddox is in, and we've seen what that's like. And without the other one, then someone like we needed both of them, and he knew it the whole time.
His football IQ is bad. His football IQ is bad. It's like he doesn't know defense, and that's why he's constantly getting beat. But what you said is spot on, Luke, because it goes back to the 2000s. It goes back to having Troy Vincent, having Bobby Taylor, but knowing you need to get younger there. You had Darius Slay, you had James Bradbury, but you need to get younger there. So you're not coming into this year saying, well, we have these 2 guys. We have the veterans, right? We can go draft other things, right? No. He's like, hey, we gotta get younger. It's important.
And we did see that before.
Is amazing.
You're right. And we did. Yeah, because when you went from Troy Vincent and Bobby Taylor to Lito Shepherd and Sheldon Brown, who was amazing for this organization. And it's almost that same level of talent, right? From what you went with Slay and what you got from Bradbury that first year to the passing of the guard now. It's almost like, although to the next level of when you bought in Sheldon Brown and Lito Shepherd at the same time.
No, you're right. You're right.
To everybody's point here, since 1999, and talking about the consistency that this organization has shown since 1999, that's a lot of damn football that's been played. Only 6 losing seasons.
That's amazing. And that starts, we always talk about this.
Out of the last 26 or whatever.
Where's the start?
Up at the top.
Starts with your owner.
Yeah.
Starts with your ownership. Right. He's done a phenomenal job. Then it starts with who's underneath of that. And that's Howie Roseman. And like Chuck's brought up, correcting himself. He's done a lot of that. I can't say enough great things. Like he's been able to address the offensive line and get it younger. He's been able to address the defensive line and get it younger, all while addressing the rest of the team at the same time. Like, you don't turn around 3 times. Like that's all I'm trying to say. You don't constantly flip the switch like this organization has over the last decade. Let's just say the last decade. The last decade has been remarkable. Like you almost deserve to go to Canton just because of the last decade. You have one Super Bowl, but you almost deserve to go. You fired 2 coaches.
And below Howie,
Super Bowl, and the next one you went back to 1. Who does that?
We talk
below
about
Howie, you have Sirianni, and the Saints game and the Falcons game early in the year. I was on Sirianni, but you got to give him his flowers. I think he's the first Eagles coach ever 3 straight seasons that they're 10-2.
Yeah, he's been unbelievable.
Correct.
I mean, he's like
you got to give him his flowers.
Luke, it's hard for us, but we're here.
We talk about players and their best ability is availability, right?
I didn't listen to that earlier in the year when I see him this winter.
As opposed to when you talk about a general manager, right? And we are seeing in our own division the effects of the biggest ability for a general manager or a team president is accountability. And you see that Howie has constantly over the years, when they have fallen short, taken the accountability and went out and made moves to try to correct those things. As opposed to you have Jerry Jones, who refuses to accept any accountability for anything.
And micromanage.
And it's to the point where, it's delusional at this point. And it's the exact I love it too. Yeah,
you set a standard as the owner. You don't micromanage the guys that you trust.
I'm talking about the general manager.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in, like, as an owner, if you're hiring a general manager to do a job, right, you cannot micromanage that general manager. You hired them. You have your standards, right? You got to let the guy go. Jerry's a big micromanage the general manager, right? Obviously,
that's why he's his own general manager now.
That's what I'm saying. It's his son. So when you can't do both, it's not 90s when he can outspend you. That's why he won. Like I told you before, he's the only guy that had Pepsi and Coke in the same stadium. That nobody did that. They bid against each other to get the best locations of it. He was making so much money off of that organization that he'd go out and spend everybody. So it's not the same time. And you're right. He's it's been 2 decades you haven't won, bro. Like we're going on, 3, really, right? It's been 3 decades. So, no, 90s, 3. So,
3.
You haven't won. So, at some point, like we talk about Howie not being stubborn, like Chuck's brought up, right? Then you see the opposite.
Yeah.
And you have winning seasons, right? Of course, right? You've got good teams in Dallas. Can't get over the hump, though, huh? And then not be able to point to be able to be accountable as the leader. That's why you lose. As leaders, you got to be accountable in any business and anything you have. You got to be able to say, hey, that was wrong. Let me try something else. And they've done it, Eagles-wise, they've done it with coaches that have won a lot of games, right? Like Doug got a job in 5 minutes, right? Because, essentially. So, because he was respected. He won a Super Bowl. It's not easy to do, right? So, the move on from the only guy who's ever won one, think about it. You're the guy who's like, you're the only guy who's ever won one here. It's not working. We got to change. This says a lot about your organization. And to be able to land on your feet, holy shit. Most guys don't get the next hire right. Most guys butcher the next hire. It's how good this organization is.
Yeah.
And they essentially did in the first interview. But we always talk about it. Guys can come in that first interview and drop your drawers. Make sense? Like, oh, you hear what he said? Did you hear it?
Yeah.
And then there's other guys, and they end up stinking at their job. There's other guys that come in and it's not their thing, and they're nervous, whatever, and they sound bad at it, and you're out on them, and here we are. Crazy.
Yeah, it's funny, this whole overarching theme of what we're talking about. If you guys heard the Bears interim coach talk about how he wants to, push the 3 abilities: coachability, accountability, dependability. I mean, it's what these good organizations continue to do throughout. And when you look at the bad organizations, what do they lack so much, right? And it's just it's refreshing to hear, to hear it coming out, even though we know that it's talked about inside these good organizations.
Yeah.
I want Howie to be the guy to reset the Sixers. I'd be cool with that.
Cool.
Get him up there, double task, double GM.
Can we bring back Hinkie?
No, it'll sell Embiid like he sold Wentz. It'll be the same thing.
Bring back my dog.
Hey, Hey, Tommy, is your buddy Spellman still tuned in?
Amari Spellman,
I don't know if he
Amari
is.
Spellman.
To be honest with
Buddy
you.
Sean.
Villanova legend.
Haven't heard that name in a long time.
Nova Nation.
Yeah.
Go Cats.
No
Creighton,
mainline talk.
Creighton beat.
Not
Kansas.
sure where the Nova Nation's at anymore. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know where they're at.
Yeah.
They got a big one the other day, didn't they?
Oh,
I
they're
don't
they're
even think it
Madison Square Garden.
matters.
That's where Motivation's at. They're Madison Square Garden.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
and one's in Minnesota.
I was referring to Sean Spellman.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, we know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
We're all here.
We need Cooper Flag so bad.
We're all here.
You know how I said we only had 6 losing seasons since '99? Well, his Giants have had 14 of them, including this season.
It's all right. Cam Ward's the answer.
If they pass on Shador for Cam Ward, they're morons.
Yeah, imagine being that dumb. Like,
Yeah.
I could just turn the game on and I'm Shador all day. All freaking day. I'm taking Shador Sanders. He's the best quarterback in the draft. I don't care. You want to, it's.
Oh, no one's going to go ahead of him. There's no chance. No chance. I mean, as of today, the Raiders have the spot over them. There's a lot of football to be played, but they have the spot.
Cam Ward's
ahead
good,
of
but
him.
he's not Shador.
Well,
No, it's not.
the
It's not
question.
close.
Does his dad end up in New York with him?
No.
Better than Dable. But
Yeah.
no, he stays in
no,
college.
I agree with you. No, I think he would.
I think it's a
He's
better
got-
shot in
he's got-
Vegas.
He's got it too good at Colorado right now, and the way he can manipulate it
He
with
doesn't.
the transfer
He doesn't.
portal and then bringing in recruiting classes, he's not going anywhere. He makes
he's
enough
not-
money as it
He's
is.
not taking it. I believe he's a guy that will like probably respect Antonio Pierce, and he's probably not a guy that's going to come in and try to take his job. Now, New York's a different conversation, right?
Well,
No.
this whole Dion talk is totally flipped upside down. People think about it in a way of like, is this place good for Dion? I think a lot of people need to start talking about, is Dion good for that place, right? People talk about Dallas. That would never work out for reasons we all know.
Yep.
New York, it's not to that degree. I believe that owner does like to be involved and does like to have some sense of personnel, things like that. I don't know if that would work. See,
This
somewhere
ain't
like
college,
Vegas.
babe. This ain't
Vegas-
college, right? Like to your
Vegas
point,
is different.
Right.
none of them are different. If you think about it, this isn't college. Like,
Right.
You're the dad. We're grown men now, right? So we're talking about the dad can be the greatest coach of all time, and
Right.
he can be the greatest quarterback. So much scrutiny comes if you don't win games, and you roll him out there and he struggles continuous. Like there's a lot of problems that can go wrong if I'm in Dion's shoes. He's smart enough. He's smart enough to know he's played at this level that daddy can't be in the locker room with you. Like that's not going to work. And,
Nope.
and you don't have the same flexibility he gets in college. He's building a juggernaut there.
Right.
He's
Right.
slowly building a juggernaut because they have the money to spend and they're willing to spend it because he's making them that money. So
Yeah.
I don't think he leaves. Like I was on it earlier, like, oh, maybe he goes with them. But the more I think about it, like at some point you gotta let your kid go play, right?
Yeah, I
Man,
think I
know,
think that's what happens. I think he does do that. I think that at some point he has to let his son go and spread his wings and create his own legacy. And on the flip side, to what you were saying, Tom, if that doesn't work out, if there's any questionable decisions that are very easily seen to be favorable as a father and not as a head coach, you're worried about losing other players in your locker room. Like now your legitimacy as a head coach and your ability to think clearly without bias comes into question there. And I don't know if that's a risk worth taking when
I'm
he
just
has
thinking,
such.
I'm just thinking
it's-
food for thought, but yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's the whole. It's
Oh,
almost like,
if I were him, I stay at Colorado. I mean,
and
it's a
legacy
totally
wise,
different animal in the NFL, as Tommy was saying. You have free agency to deal with and all the other restrictions, so to speak, that you may not necessarily have.
well, I just think
Colorado.
I just think legacy wise. Well, first of all, they have the NIL money, which I
Right.
mean, they're becoming big players in that. But then on the other side as well. First of all, they just went out and got the second ranked high school player recruit
This
to
is
lock
simple
in this
formula.
bill right in. And the
This is
other
simple
thing is,
formula. Deion's not stupid. Real quick, like he's not stupid. Like when you have the number 1 and number 2 or 3 player in the draft go off your board, like the milkshake brings the boys to the yard. So that being said, that creates more recruits coming there because they know, oh, I can get drafted top 5. The same reason Alabama, same reason Georgia, same reason some of the teams are great.
Will it happen or will it work is two different things, though. Like, will it happen? Will it work? That's two different conversations.
I think too, the thing with Deion is, it's that whole argument of, like, I know it's college basketball with Jay Wright, right? Oh, why doesn't he go to the pros? Because he had it made. Him and Coach K, they didn't have to go. They could be absolute legends in the sport at their position by sticking to where they are
and make more money.
Yeah,
and they can end up making more money in college too.
Way more money.
Like not even close.
Yeah,
not even close.
Why would you leave for Deion's a Hall of Famer? Like, he don't need to prove nothing in the NFL. Guys leave college to go prove stuff in the NFL. He has nothing to prove at that level. He's proven it. So all you're going to go do there is tarnish your legacy. That's the most, like, either your legacy gets bigger because you win, obviously, right? But if you lose, it just becomes a tarnish. So you're better off, hey, I'm building something here. And if you build it, you're always going to have that opportunity to go to the pros, right? So, it's not, that window won't close. But
yeah, I just think I almost
especially
think
for his name.
I think legacy-wise, if he can ride it out and get them to, say, a national title or somewhat close to that, then maybe you start looking at moving on. But I mean, what he's got going on right now, it would be completely nonsensical.
Yeah,
just to go with his son.
Yep. Doesn't mean you never leave, but you're not going to go with your son. That's amateur hour type stuff, in my opinion. That's little league stuff. Like, no, not at this level. College, totally fine. It's different. It's just different.
And he's so close and looks up to Saban so much that he wants to build a legacy in college.
That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
100%. Exactly what he's doing. And he's going to build it at a school nobody thought he could build it at. That's the crazy. That's where legacy comes in. You go to FSU, they have a legacy, right? We talked about that in past, right? Yeah. But you go somewhere that doesn't have one and you're selling out the joint when you weren't that good.
And here's the thing. You bring up FSU, though. I would not be surprised if that coaching job becomes available. Does he possibly go back to his alma mater?
They already screwed him. He went for that job, and they screwed him out of it the first time when he should have got the job. So a lot of people think that he has a little bit of.
I didn't know that. I got you.
A lot of people think it's a contentious relationship, and that no, he absolutely.
Norvell just had Norvell just had like 4 guys switch schools, like four 4-star recruits just swap schools. So
left him,
yeah. So he's got.
But he's got a $60 million buyout, so they're not getting rid of him.
I think one of the big factors here.
He also didn't have a quarterback, so
yeah.
I think one of the biggest factors here, not talked enough about Deion too, that at least in the overwhelming majority, but I've heard people who are close to him talk about, he cares about teaching young men, not necessarily going to the pros where you have adult men at that point. He takes a lot of pride in being at the college level and working with young men, not just on the field, but with preparing them for the next step of their lives. And that a lot of people believe that's why he won't leave, because he is building something special there. And he really values in his life what he can bring to a young man's life to prepare him to be, a productive adult.
Sure. No,
and the number 2 player in the country going there was a nail in the coffin. I mean, the number 2 player in the country.
If that didn't
that conversation goes on somewhere within the recruiting process to say, what are you doing? What's going on? Yeah. The number 2 player in the entire country does not commit to school without that conversation taking place.
100%.
There's no way.
Who's jumping into his son's spot?
Right. Exactly.
That kid could sling it too.
He better, because he's not. You need a quarterback, as everyone has seen this year. You need a quarterback.
I mean, you look at his video, though.
Michigan playing Ohio State.
You look at this kid's videos, though, and he looks like he's going to step right into Shador's shoes, no problem.
Yeah, he's pretty.
I don't get the Ryan Day thing at all. I think keeping him around is got to be probably the dumbest decision they can make. I don't understand that at all. Unless he goes around and wins the national title, I don't even think going to the title game is worth keeping that job. Having that job is about one thing and one thing only, especially living in this Big Ten world now. I mean, if you can't win that game at home when their quarterback threw for
19.5 point
60
favorites.
yards. He
Do
threw
they
for
even-
60 yards.
Do we even classify him as a quarterback? Right.
Right. So then, and now you're going to turn the page next season, go on the road in which they have the number one player in the entire country on their team.
Yeah.
What are you telling your fan? Like, the whole thing is a mess.
Who is a quarterback that they can't
Right.
ever get, right? Yeah. It's
Yeah.
hated seeing it. Hated seeing it. Loved every
I
second.
don't know. So I mean, I don't know. I think Ryan Day's getting fired unless they make a deep playoff run. He's getting.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same argument you have every year with Penn State and James Franklin. It's like, you know, who's replacing him? And I understand that, you know, at some point it doesn't matter who's replacing him, but you're already the highest paid team in the nation anyway. You're gonna lose so many.
Right, that too. I mean,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a terrible situation. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. But it is funny though, hearing hearing Ohio State fans don't even care about the playoffs anymore just because they lost. Lost to Michigan. They're like, what are we gonna do then? Win the national championship? And there's an argument that they shouldn't even be in.
I mean, yeah, I think a lot of these teams losing this weekend helped them out, like Miami, and I think it totally.
Oh yeah. If Miami would have beaten, what was it? Miami got upset,
Syracuse.
and I know they lost to Miami. Lost to Syracuse, and there was someone else that got beat.
I mean, there was just teams losing down the stretch, like Bama, even like not this past week, but the week before. Like there's teams that lost stupid game, whatever, and now like we're not even considering the fact of them getting in or not. They're actually getting a home game, which to me is absurd.
It is.
The fact that you can lose that game and get a home game.
What do you think? I mean, if a team like Tennessee goes into Columbus, I think they're beating Ohio State.
Well, it came out today. They're a 9-point favorite against would-be matchup. They would be a 9-point favorite against Tennessee.
What? Ohio State would be?
Yep.
That's a joke.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yep. Penn State's rocking a little 11.5 against Arizona State. I'll take that.
That makes sense. Yeah, I'll take that. Scatterboy running all over State College, though.
Yes. I will say, though, like, hypothetically, if that's what it is, those Arizona natives and whatever, they are not going to want to come to State College late December.
Well,
that's going to be a huge disadvantage.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah. Dan Mullins was on McAfee today, and he was talking about how he can't wait for, like, a playoff atmosphere at Penn State. Like, he's like, that's probably going to be one of the greatest, spectacles. And then he took a jab at Fox and Big Noon Kickoff.
Yeah.
That better not be a noon game.
Yeah.
Well, will it affect a little bit, you think, Luke? I mean, I'm sure the students will travel back up there or make their plans alternately. Won't some of the students be home for Christmas break? I mean, of course, they're going to make the trip back up for the game, but
yeah, and they're selling tickets to students, which are like non-transferable, which is like different than every other game of the season.
Yeah.
So they don't want Arizona State or SMU, wherever it's going to be. They don't want those fans populating throughout the stadium. So they're trying their best right now. What the other advantage of it is like it's so unpredictable that whoever the visiting team is, like no one's like, say it's Arizona State fans aren't buying tickets to this game right now because they have no idea.
Right.
So it's such an advantage the more pushed back it is and the unpredictability of the whole thing. Like there will be a Penn State crowd for sure.
Now I kind of figured that. I just didn't know if I mean, I didn't know if they would have 107,000 in the house or 111,000. You know what I mean?
I think this will be probably a 110.
110.
Yeah.
Full house.
It's the first one. It's going to be out.
Yeah.
And, the hell? Do they make your ticket, Luke? I was curious. Do they make it to where you can't resell it if you wanted to, your student ticket?
Only in the playoff game, not regular season games. But
so
this
they're
game,
they're making it to make sure
that
you're
you're
selling
going.
your ticket for your tuition.
Yeah,
You know what
you're
I mean?
going to the game.
Right.
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah, they're gonna make sure you ain't putting that online for $7,000.
No, because that would sell. That would sell.
Oh yeah. But I don't know. I mean, I'll admit, I don't like our chances against Oregon this weekend. I don't know. Maybe we squeak one out, but that's it. I don't know. You think we have enough playmakers to keep up with them?
Well, I think that comparing Penn State to Oregon is a lot like comparing the Eagles to the Lions. A lot of people want to talk about the offensive firepower because that's what sticks out to you, right?
Yeah.
But the major difference to me is the defensive side of the ball. Penn State is no doubt a better defensive team than Oregon. That's where they're going to win or lose the game. If the game, I believe the over-under is like 49.5.
So you hold them to get enough stops?
Yeah, if you hold them to 23 points, that to me is the magic number. They cannot score 24 or higher. It cannot be one of those down and you've got to take advantage of being down the red zone. You got to get them up with points. That's how they've lost every single big game of Franklin's entire tenure.
Look no further than the Ohio State game.
Right. So the biggest Franklin's biggest probably negative, in my opinion, this has been a problem his entire tenure. They do not score well in the red zone. They never have. And so when they had that team with Saquon, they never were in the red zone. It's kind of like what we're seeing now with the Eagles. All explosive plays, all touchdowns over 25 yards. Now you're going to have to, get creative, and that's where he's struggled. The game's going to come down to that, and can you hold him to less than 23, 24 points?
Yeah,
You'll win the game.
That's a tall task.
Yep.
To hold Oregon under that number.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Is it possible? Maybe, but
oh, it's definitely possible.
Yeah, I think it's possible.
I
Penn
certainly
State
hope
as a top 5 pick in the draft. This is a big time
that's not a fact.
Showing event for him for sure. Biggest game of his career.
Yeah, this is random, but on Thanksgiving, my uncle sent me a video, and he got this AI app, and it was Saquon. You saw the Saquon video?
Yeah.
I posted, Greg. Yeah, it was Saquon saying shout out A2D radio, shout out Mikey Buckets, complete AI. But it looks so real. It was crazy. It's just a random sidebar, but it was on my Instagram, and it's just so funny. He was shouting out A2D radio, and it was
awesome.
Yeah, I just thought it was so funny. But the one clip that Tom posted, I reposted on my story, and I tagged Caleb Martin, Ricky Council, and Desmond Bain. Ricky Council and Desmond Bain actually viewed the story.
Nice.
So that's sick. That was
a couple weeks ago, right? That was
that was 2 weeks ago.
When we played Memphis. Yeah.
Caleb Martin never viewed it, but Ricky Council and Desmond Bain. Bain a couple times has viewed it. That was the first time Ricky ever viewed it. But Desmond Bain, every time I tag Desmond Bain, he views it. Nice. I went to a game 2 years ago, and Maxey and Bain both scored 30, and I bet it. I put 50 cents to win 80. It was $80. So if Maxey and Bain had both scored 30, and it was the first time Maxey ever scored 30, they both scored 30. And I tagged Desmond Bain, go Sixers, you stink, blah, blah, and he viewed it. And I was like, oh, maybe I got to watch what I say here.
No, never. But speaking of the Sixers, we talked a little bit about it last week, and I don't know, I know not everybody was around, but what are your guys' thoughts on shutting down Embiid for maybe the month, right? The end of the year, not season long, but just to stop the day-to-day nonsense of updates. What are your guys' thoughts on shutting him down for an extended period of time?
You want to start, Luke? You want me to start?
I mean, my thoughts are kind of hard to get. I don't know. All I do know is they could have prevented all of this from happening by doing the ramp up earlier in the summer, have him play and miss games sporadically in the middle of the year like every other star in the NBA does. And it wouldn't be a big deal, and you'd have more synergy, more chemistry among your team. That's where they messed up. So now where you go from here, it's so hard to say because I want to see him out there. But in the same breath, you just don't want anything to get much worse.
Did they mess
And
up by having him play in the Olympics, Luke?
No, I think you had to let him go there. And I actually think that there's a lot to take from something like that. I think it helped because in my head, I'm like, okay, he's going to be in better shape coming into the year. Turns out it's the exact opposite somehow. Don't know how that worked.
Yeah, I don't either. Damn.
Yeah, so
I would have thought he would have been.
Not even about being
career.
It's not even about being transparent more so than it is just doing what everyone else in the NBA does except the Clippers, which is just, I'm going to play my guy in the beginning of the year when I know he's ramped up, I know he's healthy, he's in good shape. And if I don't want to have to play him in back-to-backs, I don't have to, but he's playing in the beginning of the season. So we're not 3-12 or what, like, right. You know what I mean? Like, we're at a manageable record and he can play throughout the year. To answer your question, where do you go from here? It's just like, who cares? You're at a point now in the city where I said it a few weeks ago, like you're almost there. And now I'm fully like, you are there. You are irrelevant in the city. Eagles are on top of things right now. The Flyers have the young kid that they're flexing around and people are excited about. The Phillies are always in contention and always up there and making noise. You are officially irrelevant in Philadelphia sports. So it doesn't even matter what you do.
Meanwhile, they're having that stupid arena fight in City Hall and all this nonsense. Why don't they just build the damn thing in South Philly? I don't know.
Is it the Sixers?
Yeah.
I have a conspiracy theory, and I hope I'm wrong.
Here we go.
I hope I'm wrong.
Tell me.
I hope I'm wrong. But they let him play in the Olympics because he knew that was the only chance of him winning anything besides the MVP in his career. That was the only championship he was going to win.
I'm with you there.
So I think the extension was a token of gratitude for all that he's done for the city. He made us relevant. He was the process. Like, we had a lot of great memories with him. He's played through a lot. The paralyzed face. He had Bell's palsy. I mean, 200,000 people get that a year. He played through that. He played through knee injuries, back injuries, you name it, broken faces. Like, I was learning more about the human body with this guy than any of my teachers ever have taught me. I mean, this guy had different injuries everywhere. But I think that he's just done. They know he's done. The extension was a token of gratitude. The Olympics was, let's go win something and add some accolades on top of the MVP. And I just think he's washed. And I think the sad part of it is also Paul George. In no world has he ever been better than James Harden. Like, we've never lived in a world where Paul George was a better basketball player than James Harden. And Daryl Morey elected not to pay James Harden after promising that he would, first of all, because he was too old and he wasn't working.
Now you're losing me, Mike. No.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
I'm in with you.
Listen, I'm not saying he's a winner, but Paul George isn't either. That we've never lived in a world.
Oh, you're not getting an argument there either.
Yeah, but we've never lived in a world where James Harden was worse than Paul George, in my opinion. Like, especially at the point guard position, the older you get, you can get away with it. You can't be old at the small forward position. You can be old at the point guard position because you can still dish it. And Harden's cooking right now in Los Angeles. The Clippers, to me, aren't even contenders, but he's making them relevant. He's making them have to be in the conversation. But I just don't think there's ever been a world where he's been worse than Paul George. And we elected not to pay Harden, and we paid Paul George instead. And you gave him this max deal, $200 million. And I think that's also killing you right now. That's killing you.
Well, part of the
but Embiid, to me, I hope I'm wrong, but he's done. Like, he's done. They knew he was done.
I could definitely see that. I could definitely see that.
Part of the reason that you don't pay Harden is because Harden needs the ball in his hands.
Exactly. It was never going to work out.
Which, at that point, you're capping the potential of growth for Tyrese Maxey. You couldn't
catch the ball, Cooper.
You could not make a long-term commitment. Even if the idea was on the table of Harden getting an extension, when Tyrese Maxey made exponential steps forward in 2 years, at that point, I don't care what Harden says. We don't even know that he was guaranteed anything. But you're not guaranteed anything until there's ink on the paper at that point. Or
listen, we also
kind of a handshake agreement right before you sign a deal. you're not getting the same Tyrese Maxey you have now if James Harden is still on this team.
Well, Maxey, honestly, he struggled this year. He's not been good. But
Well,
I
I mean, I agree. I
with what
said
you're
that
saying.
last year or last week.
No, I
Yeah.
agree with what you're saying. And also, we probably don't draft McCain because then we'd really be guard heavy. So everything happens for a reason. Don't get me wrong. I just think the ironic part of this is all this tanking, besides 2014 and getting Embiid, all this tanking, our best 2 picks have come outside of the lottery.
Yep.
You've had Tyrese Maxey and you've had Jared McCain. And you didn't even need a tank to get those guys because we were quote unquote contenders when we drafted those guys. So it's like all this tanking went to waste. And that's the funny part to me. And I get it. Like we might have not drafted McCain. Maxey might have stunted his growth. But to me, Harden's just a better player. And he's played more. Like Paul George is missing all these games. Dude, we're in December. How are we missing games already?
The only credit I will give you on that one is, James Harden for the most part suits up every night. Right.
Yeah, but at the time, Daryl Morey, in terms of context of what happened back then, he had his own job to do. And I think Harden, who wants to like bitch and moan about his guarantee or whatever, he can't go out there. And I get it. He won them 2 games. Daryl Morey had a job to do, and he knew that the future of the organization was with the ball in Tyrese Maxey's hand. And that had nothing to do with James Harden. And all James Harden would do, yes, he would suit up, would hinder that. He could not pay him. So whether they made an agreement or not, Daryl Morey has his own job to do, and he would not be doing it properly whatsoever if you brought him back at the time.
And then
it wouldn't have worked out.
And then kind of piggybacking off that idea real quick, Mike, and then respond there. I think too, if your theory is correct, and they looked at Embiid as somebody who was on the downside, we'll just say it that way. You can't commit money to Embiid and then commit max money to a James Harden, to where you're now hampering your youngest star. Like you need to let the young stars thrive if you're going to pay out that kind of money. And the other thing is, James Harden, he might be happy today. You might pay him, and then he wants to force his way out of a contract again. He does it everywhere he goes. He's too much of a high risk liability. Like Paul George, one thing you could say about him, he's a great teammate, and he never asks to get out. Like he's there, he's got to stay on the court, and I know we haven't seen that yet, but.
So that's where I was going to get to, like to build off of that, because I agree with you. I totally agree with you. You don't want to stunt the growth of Maxey. It makes a ton of sense. Like you're not wrong. I'm just saying, Daryl Morey seems to me, and I don't think it was Morey the first time, but our organization, let's say, seems to me like they feel like they have to do something when you don't necessarily have to do it. Like they signed Harris 5-year max deal because they had to do it. There was nobody else coming. They signed now George to a max deal because they felt like they had to do it. You don't have to do these things. And now you're just digging yourself a hole. That's what bothers me. Like I'm not saying Harden was the answer, but signing George didn't make you better. Like if we have James Harden on this team, we're better than we are than having.
That's a blank canvas problem. They chose the worst year in free agency and all of that to have a blank canvas, and that's on them being short-minded. But that's like what we said going back. They should have never done that in the first place. They should have traded all those guys for guys like OG Anunoby expiring contracts, and then you can figure it out that way. Not completely like, hey, let's hedge and get Buddy Hield and Cameron Payne, and like we'll trade Pat Bev for a 2nd-round pick. It was all pushing it down the line for this year. And now when it's blowing up in your face, I get the expectations were there, and it's kind of unfair to say this now because we were all so excited coming into the year. You're irrelevant now. And I'm not sure how you get out of it. I really don't.
That's just the last thing I wanted to say is if my theory on Embiid is correct and he's just done, then signing George to a deal like that, you just shot yourself in the foot even more. That's all I'm saying. Like to do anything like that with Embiid, possibly I think he's done. Like I just think he's done. I pray I'm wrong. He's so much fun to watch, but I just think he's done. He's never going to be healthy enough. His body has broken down, and you can't argue with the body. So I think
no reason to believe you're wrong.
He's not going to be the same player. I agree with you. I mean, he's toast. Fellas, I got to hop off. Unfortunately, I got to get up at 2 a.m.
All right. See you, brother.
All right. You guys have a great night.
We're not too far behind you. SJM, the only thing I'll counter you with is they didn't let the process run all the way full.
Yep.
You didn't give Hinkie the entire time, right? I'm not saying he hit on every one of his picks, but when the NBA steps in and takes control of your organization with putting rats in the organization, you kind of blow up. You kind of blow up the process at that point. Looks like Duke's going to beat Auburn, by the way. Awesome.
Oh, we could have a 30 for 30 documentary about the process. I mean, Mikal Bridges' mom works for the team, and
forget we should. We should. It's not that we could. We should.
Yeah, we should break it down.
Zaire Smith has
I'm a Hinkie lover. I love my Hinks.
Zaire Smith has a food allergy. You feed him the wrong food, the guy almost dies. It gets out of the league. He loses 50 pounds, can't even do a push-up. He's in the hospital 2 weeks. Yeah, he can't do nothing.
Yeah, most fan bases would talk about that all the time. That's like nothing to us.
Yeah, it's nothing.
People forget that even happened.
Yeah.
And SJM, I feel like Danny Ainge made a stipulation with that trade when we got the number 1 pick that we had to take Markelle. Now, you can be a scumbag and go against it, but there's no reason Boston trades that if they know that we're taking Tatum. Because it was Tatum, right? Brown to Don's point. I think people thought Brown was going to be good, but they didn't think he was top 3 pick.
I've never really believed that though, because like the way the order was them, LA, and us. So if you knew that they weren't going to pick Fultz anyway, it was always a lock that Lonzo was going to go to LA. Why would you even? There's no reason to.
That's what I'm saying. Like, well, that goes back to my point about the NBA running the league.
There's no what are you
wanting
doing?
Boston to be good, right? You know what I mean?
There was no reason to trade up. Even us, it was like, back then. It's like, wait, what? What are we doing? Markelle Fultz is going to be number 1 pick in the draft. Not that we thought he was going to be bad. It was never that he was going to be the number 1 pick in the draft.
I wanted nothing to do with him.
That is crazy.
I'm going to take shots at Tommy because he's not here to defend himself. But Tommy loved him some Markelle Fultz.
Someone just said it was Josh K. Time to clean house, let everyone go. Process 2.0 incoming, and it's just crazy because that's where we're headed.
For it, Josh. I'm in for it. But Mike, the other thought too, like the NBA makes it so you keep your guys and you can extend your guys for more, and you can pay your guys more, right? So at some point, I understand they extended Harris because they had to, but they also lose all that leverage of being able to go over the salary cap for Harris and being able to sign other guys, right? If you get rid of him and you start over, then you're limited salary wise on what you can. Now, to your point though, they probably should have traded him, and to what Luke was saying, right? Traded him and gotten some things back that matched his salary so we can go back in it, and we don't have to go looking at this year. We don't have to go in and pay KJ Martin what we're paying him just to be able to trade him down the road. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's a complete disaster. The Sixers are a shit show.
But the other reason you should have traded him, which I said at the time, is like no one's a free agent anymore.
Yeah.
The best free agents was Paul George and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. So you were doing all this.
Bad year.
You were doing all this. You knew you were relying on Paul George to stay healthy. You knew you were relying on him to even come here in the first place. And then remember that period of time where we're like, oh my God, is he even going to come here? What the hell are they going to do if he doesn't come? And everyone's making moves and we're shitting our pants. Like all they had to do was build around the team that was already there. Because that team, shockingly, when Embiid was on the court, because they really didn't have that much expectation, was pretty damn good with Tobias Harris on it. All they had to do was build off of that team. They did not have to start completely over. They didn't have to do that. They just didn't.
Yeah, and I feel like they always feel obligated to sign that third. Whoever's available, that's who they're going to get. And to me, it's just like that's pointless. Especially with hindsight's 2020, but especially if you knew Embiid wasn't even going to start the season playing. I mean, why are you signing a guy to a max contract who's never been a winner?
That's
he's
the one
old
thing.
He's never been a winner.
That's the one thing I don't know that they knew. I don't know that they knew, and maybe they did, but I don't know that, because to your point, I think you're 100% dead on. If he's cooked, why are we adding more chefs to the kitchen? Right? Like if he's cooked, the worst thing we want to do is bring in a Paul George that's going to keep us somewhat relevant.
Right. I don't think
when we can take advantage of him being cooked and being the worst team in the NBA, and then team him if after the season he can get redone, right? You know what I mean? Like missing a season, coming back for next year, and then just hypothetically thinking you got McCain, Maxey, Cooper, and him, right? Like that would be stupid.
I have a conspiracy theory. I truly believe that they thought that this plan pushing him to the playoffs was the right idea. I truly think that. And I think that they sat on it for too long, and now they're saying, oh, shit. That's my conspiracy theory. Yep. Because going back to that, like even us fans are like, yes, this is all about the playoffs. We'll wait for him to get back. We don't care how many games he plays. It doesn't matter. And then they sat on it, and now it's like, well, what the hell do we do? I think that's what happened. And I think they're realizing that playoff plan was probably never going to work. And that's what's happening. That's all I think it is.
I also think we just wasted this guy's prime. I mean, when this guy entered the league, he was one of the best players on the planet. As soon as, I know he sat for those 2 years of injury.
I think he wasted a lot of his prime as well.
Yeah, it goes both ways.
Yeah.
But in 2016, though, when we had to do that minute restriction stuff, and he had his home opener against the Thunder and Westbrook, and he had 20-something in 20 minutes. He was that good to the point where it's like, okay, 100%. I get you want to ramp him up, but he just got better and better and better. And for 4 or 5 years straight, he was getting better and better, and he was one of the best players on the planet. And that was the window. But we thought, okay, we're in it for the long haul. We don't even need to win now. I feel like we tanked so many years of his prime, of his body's prime. Maybe not his talents-wise prime, but his body. Now he's just broken down. That's the problem. It's you extended this process way too long, and our best 2 picks have came outside the lottery. That's the funniest part. Maxey and McCain, the most recent ones, they're nowhere near the lottery.
Yeah, and to your point, we're even looking at this year thinking he's the same guy. Like, hey, give us 20 minutes, you're going to get us 20, 25 points because your entire career you've been a point per minute type of guy, right? And we even saw in the few games that he did play, it's 4 out of 20, right? The few games that he did play, he's not the guy right now. He's not even close to being that guy.
When I saw him get 0 free throws, Greg, that's when I knew he was cooked.
Yeah, dead serious. Thank you, brother.
This guy gets 0 free throws, and for the first time ever in his career. That means he was just taking face-up jumpers because he couldn't even get up and down the court. He couldn't run rim to rim, and he couldn't bang with anybody. He just had to put up random shots. He wasn't even trying to draw fouls. When I saw 0 free throws for the first time in his career this year, I'm like, yep, he's done.
That to me was a guy that looked like he wasn't ready to play in that game, just physically. I don't think he was able. And look, that's happened every time he's come back, and it seems like every time he comes back, it just so happens that they're playing on national television. And it's a big that's the cycle of what happens. Yeah. So I don't really think he's cooked. I think the plan is blowing up in their face. That's what I think is going on.
I find it hard to say that they wasted his prime. I think to what Greg said, I think it's more of maybe he wasted his prime by not being able to stay healthy because he was 25 years old when they went out and got Jimmy Butler.
He was here for 40 games is the point. So it goes both ways.
Right, but they tried to make moves every year since then. They eventually did go out and get a James Harden, and that experiment didn't work. I mean, they've gone and they've done things and gone and gotten players and tried to get, the top tier players to come in and play with them. It just hasn't worked out. I mean, and most of it is his own inability to stay healthy. You could knock Doc on some of them, when he kept them in against Toronto, when there were 30 points with 4.5 minutes left, and he took an elbow to the face, and he missed games in the second round there. But
Crum, this is why they failed him though. We just named Harden, Butler, Doc. Think about all the moving pieces in and out, shuffling in and out. Think about all the teams that win championships. The Golden State Warriors were built by a core. The Thunder right now, the best team in basketball. They were built through the draft. The Celtics might be the best team in basketball. East
Continuity.
Built through the draft. We have all these moving parts. We wasted his prime.
Right, but wasting a prime is not doing anything. It's there's plenty of players who have gone through their career, and we've seen organizations do absolutely nothing to help them out.
The Bengals
for many years. I mean, really, yeah.
Well, they're about to waste Joe Burrow's prime too.
Well, they went to a Super Bowl.
Saquon Barkley's early career with the Giants was wasted time.
Total 100%.
And it's not the same thing as what happened with Joel Embiid.
That's fair.
It's different to try and fail than to not try at all. Wasting his prime is to me not trying at all or not trying enough. They made attempts, they just swung and missed. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
the reality is
That's what I mean by waste.
Yeah.
They missed so badly with what they did. I mean, just obvious stuff. Like,
well,
you
I mean,
Tatum
the Jimmy
instead of Fultz.
Jimmy year, they were 3, 4, 5 bounces away from, and I fully believe they would have won the championship that year if they were able to get through that game 7.
Listen, I totally agree with you. Our 6th man off the bench that year was James Ennis III. I totally agree with you. I think that team was our best chance. I'm bought in. We had James Ennis III and Boban Marjanovic, who can't sniff NBA minutes anywhere else but when he was with us. Those were
great
our 2 guys.
commercials in John Wick movies, though.
He does great. He is great in John Wick.
So, like, I totally get what you're saying, but at the same time, there was no, like, they missed so badly and so obviously. Like, they took Bridges. His mom worked for the team, and they traded him on draft night. And then the guy they traded for,
I mean, that's one. Listen,
they almost killed him.
I know that's one that's a head scratcher. I'm not.
It's just,
I think the head scratcher part of that was their reasoning, right? It was hearing them say they needed the money to be able to sign both Jimmy and Tobias, and then you let Jimmy walk.
Yeah,
and the best part is you're seeing Bridges play in the finals. He's with the Suns playing a pivotal role in the finals.
Yeah,
playing on the
Al
Suns.
Horford thing. That was a wasted year. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
That was a wasted year.
That was
real quick. I do want to get the Dead Slayer real quick. Thank you, brother. Said I think it's possible to do. It's impossible to do a process 2.0 because of the draft lottery. Well, draft lottery's been there all the time, and at the NBA. Because
it's just different now. The odds are a bit different, but the new way to do it is just look what Oklahoma City does. You just sell high on everyone that you have on your team and get as many shots at it as you can. Their best players are not top outside of Chet. They're not really like top 3, top 5.
No, not at all.
So,
and Ben did set the franchise back because he turned into a giant vagine.
Well, that's the other one. I mean, that's the real reason why Jimmy Butler walked, right? They would have bought Jimmy Butler back.
And that's yes, 100%. And
he's done that everywhere he's left. He did that in Minnesota.
That's where too the organization doesn't have a long view, right? Like you had to understand at some point and I love Brett, but Brett Brown was coming to the end of his rope with this team. Right?
I don't tolerate Brett Brown hate. He did nothing
no
wrong.
Hate at all. No hate at all. But I think
he did wrong.
I think everybody understands that Brett Brown was never going to be the coach that gets us over the hump. Right.
I don't think he would have gotten the way.
He might not have.
Our best years were with Brett Brown. I'm like a Brett Brown defender. Give me one thing he did wrong.
I love
there's one that is engraved in my head forever, and I will always remember it. It was when it was game 5 and we came back. All we had to do was inbound the ball, get intentionally fouled, make a free throw, and we win the game. And we were about to call 5 seconds. He calls a timeout out of the timeout. We then do not get the ball in a second time. And then he turned it over again later in the game, forcing overtime, and we lost. He was just horrible at the end of games. He
had no feel either for when the team was on their
tired.
Heels a bit.
Yes.
He had no feel on when to call a timeout and let the team catch a break.
Agree.
Yeah.
There's actually quite a few things. His rotations weren't very good either.
But I'd argue he was better than Doc Rivers and Nick Nurse.
No, I would probably better than Doc.
Yes.
Not Nick, though.
I mean, Nick's been terrible.
But the organization not being able.
I don't think it's Nick Nurse's fault, though.
Yeah, I'm not ready to throw it on Nick, but he hasn't been good. I'll give you that. But I don't think a lot of it. Just like Maxey struggles. I'm not going to ready to hammer the kid for Maxey struggling this year because he's been in a disastrous situation. He doesn't know who he's playing with every night. And then most nights it's got to be him. So he's got to turn into AI, right? He's got to turn into AI, which isn't his game. But where I was going was the organization at that point wasn't able to see far enough ahead to where we go, all right, Jimmy Butler's going to leave because of Ben and Brett. So why don't we let Ben and Brett go and keep Jimmy Butler, right? Because that's what everyone thinks. I want a Jimmy guy, right? But that's where everybody thinks was the best team and the best chance to move past where we are, right? So that's it. The organization just didn't have the forward thinking to see 6 months down the road where he inevitably didn't they fire Brett halfway through the year?
No.
Or did
No,
they give
they
him a full
fired
year,
him
but
after the
then
COVID
afterwards? Okay.
after the COVID bubble.
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
And they got
Actually, I'll
swept.
give you the one thing Brett did do wrong, and it was an organization's fault. That Bridges draft was
Yeah, it
Brett
was
Brown
him.
as the
Yeah,
GM.
right. That was all
Yeah.
him.
But as
That
a
was
coach, though, I had no problem with him. Like he had Mike Scott coming off his bench.
Uh-oh.
Mike Scott is so bad. Like he had nothing. He did the best with the hand he was dealt. We all agree the most favorable year of us going and winning a championship was him as the coach. That's why I don't get it. I don't get the hate on him. I never will. Like that team was the best team we had. That was with Simmons. That was with Harris, and Brett Brown was your coach. And he got the best out of Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is like as much of a bum as he was scoring 27 against LeBron, clinched the 3 seed for us at the home floor. The best of Ben Simmons came from Brett Brown. And whether that's because Brett Brown coddled him, who knows? I think that's what the knock on him was. So be it. That was
because of daddy, right? Yeah.
I think that was solely a partial Ben Simmons mental thing, and also the fact that Doc Rivers just had no freaking clue what he was doing. I think that's what that was all about.
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
Because that's another 30 for 30. What the hell happened to Ben Simmons? Right? Like, how the hell do you fall? Like, I mean, you're KD and LeBron in one body, essentially, right? Coming out of college, right? You can do it all. But yeah. All right, let's get out of here. I'm sick of talking Sixers. It's after midnight. Luke's got to head to Indy this weekend.
Hell yeah.
When you off? When you leave? Tomorrow?
I'm going Friday.
You're driving Friday. Okay.
Friday. Yeah.
Nice.
Let's hope for a win. What do you think?
Group
They
of your
get
guys?
it done?
Group of your guys going?
Yeah, group of 12.
Yes. Let's go.
What do you think, prediction-wise?
I don't want to say they're going to win because I'm just going to get
That's
myself.
That's exactly what I said.
That's what I'm just going to. James Franklin is just going to be like, hey, I'm here.
Yeah, do it again. Why not? Yeah.
But no, they definitely do have a shot. They really do have a shot. And the other side, I don't want them to win too, is because I think if they win, Drew's gone.
I think he's gone anyway. I think
he very well could be.
I think Drew is the classic example.
You put a Big Ten championship and then lock up the number one team in the country.
Yeah, I think he's gone anyway. To me, he's the guy that like climbs draft boards like during the combine.
1,000%.
Because he's going to test out. He's going to be unbelievable in the combine.
People keep saying, "Oh, you think Drew's?" I said, once people realize that Drew Allers 6'5" can make every throw, and now he's added the mobility factor to his game, he's going to absolutely destroy draft boards. He might be the third quarterback taken.
Right, and that's the other thing. Like this isn't
this
isn't like last year where it's like I can string you 4 quarterbacks that definitely deserve to be picked in the first round. Like that does not exist, and there's a lot of teams that need him too. So I think he could go.
Shedeur, Cam Ward, and maybe Drew Aller.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Like
you know,
the other, he's definitely over Beck now for sure.
Yeah,
in my eyes,
and now he's come out as a weirdo.
Yeah.
How the hell did he pull one of the Cavender twins? By the way, how the hell did he? He must be working with a third leg.
Yeah, he doesn't even. Yeah, he doesn't even like watching football.
Yeah, how bizarre is that?
I feel like that shit's a meme. Like I feel like 1 or 2 of them might have been real, and now it's just like people are just AI. Like, dude, it's scary. AI is scary. I'll tell you that. Saquon Barkley. I could say your name. It was Saquon Barkley's voice. People wouldn't even know the difference.
Yeah, SJM. I don't know what else Drew needs to prove though.
He can't stay another. It wouldn't do much for him, in my opinion.
He wouldn't do much because I don't think the team's going to be as good next year.
No, they're not.
And it's gonna reflect on him. All right. But
totally.
He's 6'5", 6'6" kid, can actually move now, right? Again, another decision that Franklin made, which is really good, and making sure that you can't be a statue back there. I need you to do a little bit. But we will end on extending Ryan Day.
Hell yeah.
I got one last rant sesh. I need Kyle Lowry to sit down.
He was out tonight.
Up. Oh, I know he was out, but he stands up. He puts Coach Lowry on a shirt, and he stands.
Oh, it's weird.
Tries to make decisions. It's weird. Like
it's weird.
Just sit down. Like I get you're the veteran. You're doing way too much. We're 5-14, so if you're the coach, you should be fired.
Yeah, it's definitely weird for sure. I'm going dub. Get a dub this weekend, Luke. Cheer on a dub this weekend. That's the other reason why I put it on the back burner. I don't want to fly all the way to Indy, waste all that money just to see them get waxed.
Big
in
game
person.
James. Here
Big game James
Yeah.
comes flying out, and I'm like, why did I do this to myself?
Yep. Death, taxes, and big game James.
And big
There you
game
go.
James.
Yep.
All right. Is Oregon winning? I need Oregon to beat USC, and we'll cap off a really good night. But we had a really good night here on ET2 Wednesday night. Special thanks to Baggio's Bread and our doc, Specialized Physical Therapy. Find them on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Sixers, Panthers this weekend. Penn State, Oregon this weekend. Did I say Sixers, Panthers? Yeah. Eagles, Panthers. Who cares about the
I didn't even
Sixers?
notice. Yeah, who cares?
They played the Magic again, Thursday night? Toward Friday
Yeah.
night?
Oh, I think Embiid might come back.
Yeah.
Unless-
Ooh.
That'd be some magic, huh?
Yeah.
Tommy was here earlier. Chrome was here earlier. That's Mikey Buckets. That's Luke Brown heading to Indy. I'm Greg Milokvic. Thank you all. We will see you next week, and you will see Tommy and I on Sunday. We out.